Hello everybody, welcome back. My name is Doug. For those of you just checking in for the first time, I'm going to be showing some vinyl finds that I picked up from various sources over the last month, maybe two. Haven't been digging quite as much lately as I have been in years past, but still pick up the odd thing here and there. Got a couple of things coming in the mail and this, that, and the other thing. Some changes coming in YouTube over the next couple of months, starting in 2020. We'll see how that shakes down. I'm seeing a lot of people getting alarmed about the changes. Gonna have to play it by ear. But let's blow out 2019 with some vinyl finds. First up, some thrift finds. Haven't been finding too much, but I did find a couple of things. This one I was pretty stoked to come across. Lulu New Routes from 1970 on the Atco label. Very nice condition here. She was a Scottish singer, best known for her hit in the 1960s with the theme to the film To Sir With Love, kind of a mannered ballad type thing. She kind of got pegged as a singer of those kind of slow songs afterward, but she had a sassy R&B influenced rock and roll side, which is kind of how I prefer to hear her. And this finds her crossing the Atlantic to land at Muscle Shoals Studio in Alabama with the famed Muscle Shoals rhythm section, Dwayne Allman on guitar here. And she was married to Maurice Gibb of the Bee Gees at this point, covers a couple of Bee Gees songs. Marley Pert Drive, which she brings kind of a southern drawl to. In the Morning has more of a slow Sunday morning in the South kind of feel. And there's a couple of cover versions on here. Old Mr. Bojangles, everybody had a stab at that one. Some ballads again, but she does get to flash that sassier side of hers on a couple of tracks, and show her more edgier side, which she didn't always get to do. So not kind of a full-on success, I would say, as some of the other artists that recorded memorably at Muscle Shoals, but very nice album. I was stoked to find that one. Keeping it on the southern tip, same store, different time, I found Tony Joe White, Continued. This is from 1969. Not in the best condition. I kind of hemmed and hawed about picking this up. It's got some marks and some scratches on it. Plays okay, and it's actually a sample copy. Southern singer-songwriter, influenced the Creedence Clearwater revival sound. It's actually got his original of Rainy Night in Georgia, which was very memorably covered in reggae a couple of times, and many cover versions. So that was a nice pickup. Another thrift find, the Specials, also known as the Special AKA, as they're billed here. Too Much Too Young. This is from 1980. It is a 5-song live EP recorded in their home stomping grounds of Coventry, UK. They're probably pretty well known in the vinyl community. Two-tone ska revivalists blending kind of a punky political ethos with rhythms influenced by Jamaican ska, which they pay tribute here on Guns of Navarone, which was memorably done by the Scatolites in Jamaica. Also Liquidator, originally by the Harry J. All-Stars. Skinhead Moonstomp, going back to that late 60s, early 70s sound on the Chrysalis label, two-tone. And what was interesting about this, finding it in the thrift store, it's a Japanese pressing. Pretty nice condition, nothing else of interest there that day. Went out digging just yesterday, actually, hit some of the record shops, found a couple of things. Hit the cheap bins at one of my favorite stores, and was surprised to find one by Caravan. Caravan, Canterbury, kind of a progressive rock band from the late 60s, early 70s. This is a later one from 1976. I'm sure it's kind of not considered one of their best, but I was curious to check them out after seeing them in the vinyl community so many times. I'd never heard them before. This is actually a promo copy. Pretty nice condition. White label Arista. And 1976, this is called Blind Dog at St. Dunstan's. Kind of humorous artwork. So progressive rock, has kind of a jazz, fusion-y, upbeat kind of feel. Lots of hooks, lots of melodies. I actually enjoyed this quite a bit. I'll be checking out more by these guys. Caravan, very nice find. These were cheap in, $4 or $5, the next couple of ones. This is one I have already. I got to check my copy to see if this is an upgrade, but it's Rotary Connection, Songs. think this will be late 60s as well also. Cadet Concept. They were a kind of Baroque soul, chamber soul, rock influenced group. Arrangements by Charles Stepney, and featured the vocals of Minnie Riperton. With a blend of rock and soul and these very soaring Baroque arrangements. Nice one by them. Again, $4 or $5. This was a blind buy in the cheap bins. Cover drew me in. This is Docela. Check out those guys. They look funky. This is 1972 on Epic. And they were Filipinos based out of San Francisco. And this is right in that Santana-esque early 70s Latin rock sound with some jazz influences. Very nice one, Docela. I'll put some sound clips down in the comments box. Also linked to my Facebook and Instagram if you want to follow me there. Found a couple of sealed ones at the shops in the discount bins. Brand new. Haven't cracked these open yet. This one looked interesting. Sounds of the City Experience. Obviously going to be some funk and soul. I looked this up. The originals go for crazy money apparently. This is a reissue on the Jazzman label out of the UK, which I'm familiar with that label. So be interested to check that out. Haven't cracked the seal on that one yet. Also found this one in the discount bins, Leo's Sunship. I've seen this posted a number of times. It's another 70s funk album. Be checking that one out. Online purchase. Those of you who watched my Glenn Brown tribute video a while back, he passed away later in 2019, earlier in 2019 I should say. Glenn Brown. I picked another one up by him. This is an album of his from the late 80s. #1 sound. Glenn Brown plays, Melodica talks, sings rather. This is on his own Pantomime label. About 1988-ish. Mix of vocals and instrumentals, melodic instrumentals and some dubs. Nice solo album from him. Still picking up the odd thing by him that I was missing from the collection. Adding a few things. Not in time to show in my tribute video, unfortunately. I did a couple of orders from the Dub Vendor online shop based out of London, UK. They are a long-running reggae specialist store, founded in 1976 in various locations, Ladbroke Grove, Clapham Junction in London. Since 2011, I think they've been online only. I'd never ordered from them before, but there are a couple of reissues floating around the UK that haven't made it across the pond stateside yet, so I thought I would snag from them. This is Augustus Pablo and Friends, The Red Sea. This is a compilation of very early, actually the very first Augustus Pablo recordings from the early 70s. I think this first appeared in the 1990s. It's my original CD copy. I've never seen it available on vinyl again in all these years. But this is out now in the UK on red vinyl, Aquarius label. As I said, the very first Augustus Pablo recordings. These are productions from producer DJ Herman Chin Loy, who also recorded one of the very first dub albums, Aquarius Dub. He also discovered Augustus Pablo. Herman Chin Loy had already put out a couple of songs under the name Augustus Pablo. It was just a made-up name for some of his players that he had recording for him. Then one day, a youth named Horace Swaby walked into his shop with a melodica, which he played with kind of an exotic sound that Herman Chin Loy found arresting, and began recording this young man, and who was soon credited as Augustus Pablo and became known by that name ever afterward. So these are the very first Augustus Pablo recordings, some that he revisited later for songs like King Tubby Meets the Rockers Uptown, aka Baby I Love You So, the same rhythm track, earlier cut on here. Also I think, East of the River Nile is on here. Just classic, very early reggae instrumentals from Augustus Pablo. There are some Lee Perry reissues floating around through Winston Edwards' Studio 16 label out of the UK, which I am familiar with. Winston Edwards was a UK-based reggae producer who in the 1970s had put out a dub album called King Tubby Meets the Upsetters, The Upsetter, at the grassroots of dub. mix of Lee Perry and King Tubby dub tracks. Nobody meeting anybody on this LP, as the story goes. He had half a album's worth of tapes from Lee Perry and half from King Tubby. He was on the plane from Jamaica back to the UK trying to figure out what he was going to do with these. Decided to have them meet up with each other. Just a marketing gimmick. But he had put that album out in the 1970s. He's still around with his Studio 16 label. He has put out 3 volumes of Lee Perry 12-inch singles on a series called Disco Devil, after a Lee Perry track, Disco Devil. There's a volume 1 here, volume 2, and volume 3. These are all brand new reissues. Just came out this year. All from Winston Edwards' Studio 16 label. These are tracks that originally appeared in the late 1970s on labels like Upsetter, Orchid, and UK imprints like Seven Leaves, all disco mix extended length style. Lots of tracks here: Jolly Brothers, Conscious Man, Max Romeo, Norman, Leroy Sibbles, Garden of Life. Heavy roots tunes. To buy all these tunes on originals would cost you many hundreds of dollars if you could find all of them. So to have them collected on these 3 volumes, very nice. Unfortunately, they are mostly dubbed from vinyl, and you can kind of hear it in the sound quality. It's just something you've got to deal with. The first side of volume 1 actually is kind of the worst of them, and then it kind of gets better after that. But not bad sound, just not really dynamic, but very nice compilations, very nice sound, or very nice tracks rather. Another reissue that just came out, Natty Passing Through by Prince Jazzbo. This is another Lee Perry production, one of his classic series of albums he was cranking out from the Black Ark, same as on those compilations there. This is also appeared a little bit later in North America as Ital Corner. I have it on that. But it appeared in the UK with this cover under the name Natty Passing Through. Late 1970s, I think. DJ album from the Black Ark. This is the first reissue in this of this original format, original UK edition, and actually very nice sound on this one. I think this is also through Winston Edwards' Studio 16 label. Classic Lee Perry production. Drenched in the Black Ark sound. I heard one little skip or something, sounded like it was from the master copy, mastered in, but other than that, very good sound quality on this one. And a classic album from Lee Perry's Black Ark. Last one I'm going to show today is a brand new album from this year by a veteran Jamaican trombone player, Vin Gordon. He's also sometimes known as Don Drummond Jr. or Don D. Jr. This is African Shores, brand new release produced by Nat Birchall and Al Breadwinner. A while back I showed an album by Nat Birchall. He's normally a jazz saxophonist. He decided to do a roots reggae instrumental album, and Vin Gordon backed him up on that album. Now they've reversed the roles, and this is Vin Gordon's headliner with the same basic team, and Nat Birchall appearing as a backup player. But Vin Gordon, veteran Jamaican player, trained at the legendary Alpha Boys School, was a member of the Scatolites, played on countless classic recordings, didn't get to record under his own name a whole lot, but very nice, very slow, unhurried, very rootsy instrumentals and some dub versions here, mostly presented showcase style with the instrumental followed by dub versions, and just excellent set on the Tradition disc label out of the UK, brand new as of this year. Very nice album. Apparently more to come from this kind of loose crew. That's about it. Oh, a couple of book additions to the Reggae Library. I also got those from Dub Vendor. Small Axe book zine. These are little mini books from the Small Axe publication house of the UK. Junior Biles, I did a reggae spotlight on him a while back. This is Small Axe book zine 1, and I also got one on Roy Cousins. I did a spotlight on him as well. Lots of great information in these things, discographies, rare photos. So that's what I've got for you today, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Cheers.